Oh yes. I too am excited to tell you about my adventures over the weekend. Which, by the way, this will be getting a full feature. We will be getting a full YouTube video on it, which actually will be the part 2 of the video I just released. Because honestly, I reviewed the rest of the footage and we made our point across. Ugh. But yeah. For anybody curious about this beautiful seal right next to me, as always, by the way, we did get a follow. We did get a follow thanks to the bean, and she did get the treat. So anybody who is curious, with every follow we do get we give the cat a treat. But as always, I am Dr. McNasty, and we're going to discuss SCAREFEST 14, aka SCAREFEST 2022. Did I have fun? Yeah. Yeah, I did have fun. It was good. My thing, it started off pretty good. It was a decent drive, getting there, and of course, we had some wild rest stop adventures on the way, dealing with some very gnarly bathrooms. Oh God, I've seen the pinnacle of worst when it comes to truck stop bathrooms, and on our way to Lexington, Kentucky was definitely, it was a trip. It was a trip. We finally did get there. Parking was so fucking confusing, but that was on our part of not being familiar with the city. But oh God, it was so. When we got there, we noticed, like, oh shit, now we have to pay for parking, which was weird because when we went, I believe in 2019, that wasn't a thing. You didn't have to, but you know, fuck it, we'll just do it. We'll park. We'll get there. You know. Then the adventure begins. So we sporadically jaywalk with a large crowd of people that also left with us. We make our way into, well, the convention center, which it was kind of cool. They had a nice little queue, a roundabout. You can tell they had a bigger volume before we showed up. Some people just hopped the fences and said, fuck it, we're just going to hop through the queue and just get there a lot quicker, because why are we going through this huge zigzag? It was fun. Nevertheless, it was pretty fucking fun. We finally get there. I pay with cash. Get our little bracelets. By the way, the bracelets were fucking huge this year. Like, I'm a pretty big dude, man. Like, I'm a giant. And normally I have so much issues with their fucking bracelets at any con or any event or any fair. They give you a bracelet. Like, it's pretty fucking tight, right? No, this one, nah, like, poor Ezra, she had to use, like, the smallest one, and I was only halfway there, so I'm like, okay, what kind of fucking King Kong motherfuckers are going to this goddamn thing? Because as I'm putting it on, I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be fucking kidding me. So I put on this fucking bracelet, right? And, after the bracelets, we mosey our way in. Of course, instantly, the biggest problem I had, my biggest critique, Patty, if you ever see this, Patty being the fucking head honcho of the establishment. Patty, if you're seeing this, please address this fucking problem and many of all the other problems I have. I'm going to do this review, and I'm doing it because shit needs to be fixed. And because I actually love the con, and there's some issues. The first issue is crowd control and how the fuck it needs to be controlled. Too many people are standing around, and take for granted, we did show up on Kids Day. It was the Sunday show. Keep in mind, Kids Day should be a little bit more docile. We tried to go to an earlier date, but things happened, so we were lucky to make it to the Sunday event. Long story short, I'm always losing Ezra. Ezra is considerably smaller than me. She's, I want to say about maybe 5'4", I don't know. But and I'm 6'7". And I always like to keep her in front of me so I can always keep an eye on her where she goes. And sure enough, anytime as soon as she got in front of me, there was other people just crowding in. So we kept getting separated non-stop, all because of people just either associating we weren't either together, or they just weren't paying attention, just having idle conversations. And it's like, yo, there's little side pockets you can do that shit in. There's places designated where you can chill and talk with people. But fuck that, said the populace of Lexington, Kentucky. They chose was always stand in the way. And keep in mind, when you go to an event, especially when there's kids supposed to be there, you expect the kids to be the fucking worst. You honestly do. But no, it was legitimately the adults. Always standing in the way, always like... And not only that, the vibe was different. The vibe was way more fucking different than... Well, there was something off, and I couldn't figure it out until literally about 5 hours prior to doing tonight's show. And there honestly was lacking representation of anything. Even the movie choices which they chose to have panels on were very not of an okay era, if in a weird way. And there was a theme, it just wasn't a good one. Keep in mind, Jeepers Creepers was there, which, by the way, is not cool. And if you don't know why, but... At the same time, I get it's only the props and maybe an actor or two, but, And honestly, one of my biggest beef I have with it is the overall quality went down. Like, the previous year, or in 2019, comparing that to this event, I get COVID caused some shit to happen. And there was, limitations with, funding and all that garbage. But, I don't know, man. It seemed rushed. And it brings me to my second problem that I also had. Along with the crowds came the staff. The convention center staff were wonderful. They were polite. They were so nice. Some of them even funny. Shout out to the convention center and, their staff. They were great. They were great. Patty, it was your people. These fucking goobers, 9 times out of 10, were usually in the way causing traffic incidences. They weren't doing anything, especially on Sunday, and this is, all my complaints are mostly on Sunday. I'm trying to think of a word to be constructive and not an asshole. We were walking around what we like to call Celebrity Row. It's where all the cool people are, the celebrities, Robert Englund was there, Kane Hodder, all the greats. The people who you come to cons to see, the monsters. This one dude, I don't know if he was trying to help the queue for that line, but he was wearing an event staff shirt. I think he was near, I want to say the Frankenhooker stand or something like that. Something to deal with Frankenhooker. I remember that. Because at that point, at the point of this story, or where I'm telling this point at, I guess, I'm not quite sure, but I knew it had to deal with the association of either Frankenhooker or somebody who cosplays as. But there's this dude, right? A heavy-set guy, mostly, if I had to guess height, about anywhere between 6 foot to 6'2" at best. But don't worry, ladies, he's not a looker. Definitely a Billy Bob Joe Bob type, very heavy-set, a bulbous boy. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is so hopefully, Patty, if you do ever watch this, you know who the fuck I'm talking about, and you can fix this fucking problem. And every time we walked past him, he was telling one lewd joke after another. And I'm not a prude. My name is literally Dr. McNasty. Okay? The vile shit. Like, I'm sitting there trying to the round example, because it was just, we kept catching, like, literally the punchlines of jokes. Like, the jokes run on the line of, like, a guy cleans off his face and says, "Here you go, miss, I cleaned you off a spot to sit." Like, there's those kind of lowbrow jokes, and every one of them, like, every time we show up, boom, it was right there on the perverted fucking punchline. And I don't know who the fuck this dude is. I really don't. But, dude, you're there at Kids Day. Don't get me wrong. I personally don't think kids belong around horror. I don't. I'm a horror fan. I think once you reach a certain age, then you're able to participate. But little ass kids that were at that event do not need to be there. Don't. It's a lot of horrific imagery. The fact that you literally had a guy selling porn or softcore porn at a booth during a kids event is fucking appalling. Okay? That was fucking ridiculous. I did just put a little pin on that. What the fuck? Not only did you have your own staff acting lewd and perverse in public to the point where I, the Dr. McNasty, found it in bad taste. You have literally vendors selling adult, shit. You think you would turn it a little bit down, On top of that, you put a wonderful circus act known as the Twisted Sisters in the worst fucking location ever. Which, by the way, kinda looks like a fucking safety hazard. I'm just being real. Like, they need a little bit more open space, just in case of that. And also, if you guys could, try to figure out a way to give them a little bit more padding for incidents. That's it. They were perfect, they were fine, just the location they were put at was trash, and somebody should have fixed that. I guess what I'm trying to say is, man, like, there was so much shit, and this is just a laundry list. Like, yeah, I could sit there and tell you about what everybody else talked about on fucking line, because I've already seen the videos pop up of the tours. It comes to my second problem. And the second problem is the con's involvement with Mr. Muncie. He, if you're not familiar, is, I guess, a local artist of that region. Honestly, this is my biggest issue with this. The guy's a right-wing dick. And he's kind of high up on Patty's food chain. By high up on Patty's food chain is she allowed him to do more than enough con artwork and distribute cards, which were kind of a big no-no in my book. I knew there was something up from the guy from, like, the first time we came across him, mostly because of the horrific anti-Biden shirt he wore, which depicted as a creepy entity attacking a child. Kind of distasteful shirt, but I get it, If I was a Trumpy, I think it would probably be funny, but I'm not, and it's not funny to me. On top of that, he tends to be very politically motivated. Not only his artwork's kind of trash. To be straight up, like, it's very low tier 90s comic, like, trash. I get mine isn't good, but also I freehand all mine, and this guy actually puts effort into his, and it's sad. The fact that they allowed, like, kind of a borderline insurrectionist kind of, like, distribute shit, it rubs me the little bit the wrong way. And I get, like, you can't really choose who your political affiliations with for your vendors and stuff. I don't know Patty's political stance, and she might be a little bit different than me. She might be of that persuasion, but if so, I don't know. Maybe that might be where us and Coffin Club might differ. And that might be where we distance ourselves apart, because it'll be different, to be real. It'll be different if it was like a Bob Dole shirt. Or another former president, such as George W. Bush, Obama, Bill Clinton, even that god-awful Reagan. I can't say shit. Because one thing that they did, or haven't did, that the Trump administration did, was they never caused an insurrection. And I'm sorry, man. I don't think traitors should be allowed in, events like that. Especially in an event that caters to a certain demographic which is usually infringed on. Let's face it, the horror kids are the weirdos. They're the minorities. They are the blacks. They are the Hispanics. They are the handicapped. Anybody who white America deems as inferior, that's the horror kids. And you can't have people who make horror kids feel unsafe at horror events. It's just that fucking easy. Yeah, they can claim that, oh, you're overreacting, but you're really not. You guys gotta, like, especially the horror community needs to understand, like, a lot of the people who idealize with horror are people who aren't normal. They're not always the aggressive white kid who hates his fucking dad. Sometimes it's a kid who's just dealing with either something as simple as they don't like their appearance to something more deep. So yeah, honestly, having that guy kind of be a big part of the event with the trading cards and the promotions and all that kind of did put a fucking sour. And honestly, if you're hearing this and you're on the same boat as me, write to Miss Patty like I'm about to do by sending her, of course, the edited version of this, and tell her, hey, can you get the fucking hate out of the goddamn cons? And tell her McNasty sent you. If you can prove you did it, you know what? Fuck it. I'll figure out what to do. I'll hook you up to something. I'll get you kids something nice. Especially if you put it together and actually make it work. Don't worry, I'm going to be doing my part too, kids. Because let's try to make horror a little bit more of a safer fucking place. But to round up my whole distastefulness for the fucking shit, all in all, the celebrities were great. All of them. Fucking Felissa Rose, or whatever. Yeah, she was lovely. Fucking Robert Englund was there. He had a beard. That was different. Shit, Ghost Adventures, Doof Nuggets were all, honestly, everybody who was there, besides some of the vendors, were on their game, and I'm very happy they did their shit. That was fun. There was skulls. There was spooky. There was everything. It was great. Yeah, they had a fucking mummy, dude. Got some dope ass photos next to it, even though there was like a weird guy like doing some fucked up shit behind her whenever he was taking the photo, so I don't look happy, but I'm fucking thrilled, dude. It was pretty sweet. But yeah. Alright. Now it's time to, now that I got my review over with, who's ready for some Minecraft?
Motherfuckers better move. If a motherfucker try me, I'ma put him on the news. No cause I'm kicking in the group. Motherfucker, cause I'm looking for a lick. Got diamonds on my wrist, breast knuckles on my feet. I'm flipping motherfuckers in the face, in the pit. Might hit him in the head, I got 100 in the clip. Wait, little bitch, don't like that. I'ma put a blade through his chest, so it's done like now. This time I'm gonna have a runner, hit a fucking on this bitch. Motherfucker, bring her up, me in a bad little bitch. The crib is shit up to something. I'ma walk up in this bitch, don't care if they tell me come in. Cause I keep in that bitch, and I'm looking for a body. I feel like murder is a motherfucking hobby. And I'm coming out the top, feeling like I'm Jafari. I'm pulling on the dance floor, pick up in the party. Putting my shit from the vendetta. I'm in the flesh, my booty is so good. I'm heads up, I'm getting fed up. Pull up with the gun in my head up, bitch.
So what do you find it? Ты это мне сказал?